Welcome back, Bill's Red to another Minecraft Bedrock Edition tutorial. Today, I have an awesome Guardian Farm sorter for y'all in Minecraft Bedrock Edition. Now, for today's example, I have Silent Whisper's 25-cell Guardian Farm. Now, whether you have built his most recent 25-cell Guardian Farm, or his older one, or even a different creator, this sorter will work for all of those. This sorter basically hijacks into the water string. All the items go up the water bubble elevator. It will go into two chestboat sorters, just like so, and then that goes directly into my very compact and reliable shulkerbox loaders. So the system does not need to be with a certain Guardian farm, but just for example's sake, I have Silent Whisper's 25-cell Guardian farm, just to show the entire system in action. Now, this particular version, I have found to produce around 43,000 items per hour. Depending on how fast you kill the Guardians is going to depend how many items you get per hour, the faster you end up killing them. So whether you have Impaling 5 or no Impaling, that's going to greatly affect your rates of the farm, and that's going to change how fast your sorter needs to actually work. If you only build Silent Whispers really small, so that's like the 4-cell Guardian farm, then you could actually get away with just building half of this entire thing, and get away with just one of these chestboat sorters. So that would cut the entire material list in half. Now, how the system works is really simple, and we are really taking advantage of chestboats. If you didn't know, Guardian farms can only produce 3 items. It's going to be the shards, the crystals, and the fish. So because it's only 3 different types of items, regardless which hopper it comes down in, all the items will be funneled into the chestboat, and then from the chestboat, because we have 2 hoppers dedicated to each of the different type of loot underneath the chestboat, regardless whether it has crystals or it has the shards or the cod, all of them will get unloaded at the exact same time. So you can see you have the shards, you have the crystals, and the cod all be unloaded at 2 times hopper speed at the exact same time. So 6 items are all being unloaded from this one chestboat, and 6 hoppers are all dedicating their full inventory capacity to pushing as many items into the chestboat at once. And whenever the items come in, they're going to go into these hoppers first. And then because the system can produce just so many items, this system will actually overload itself. So that means all these hoppers will be completely full of items pumping into the chest. The items will overflow into the second chest boat, and that's why we have 2 of them. If you have a smaller Guardian farm, for example, the 4-cell Guardian farm, you wouldn't necessarily need this entire system. You could get away with just one of these chest boats. But if you build the medium or the larger system, then you will want both of these chestboat sorters. There is, however, since we are building this in the ocean, the chance that salmon or some squid might die in your farm. So every so often, I would recommend going around and checking in your chestboats, because you might find some ink sacs, salmon, or even some bones from those fish. Now, these items you can leave in the system. It won't hurt it. It won't hurt your rates or your sorting capacity, but eventually over time these might clog up the chest boats. So just check every couple sessions and clean these out, and that'll make sure your system works as efficiently as possible. Now from the chest boat sorters, if we come straight down from there, you can first see this rail line. Now this rail line is looping around constantly when the system's running, and that is stocking all our shulkerbox loaders. If you don't want to use shulkerbox loaders, you can just have a bunch of double chests like I have here, and just expand that and ignore this yellow circuit. But the system does produce so many items, around 45,000 items per hour, and because of that, I would highly recommend using shulker boxes. Now, each of these double chests is representing a different item that we're sorting out. This first double chest, that is sorting out our shards. This second double chest here, that is going to be sorting out our crystals. You can see both those hoppers are set up for crystals. So those items are all coming directly down, and they're being funneled down into this dropper right here. And you can see we got a bunch of shards lined up. These shards are in this one dropper, and then because we are pulsing the dropper very fast, so this one dropper is going to be working at the speed of 2 hoppers, so it's working at around 5 items per second. And all those items are going directly into the shulker box, and the shulker box is easily accessible from down below. So right here, you can see the shulker box that will get completely loaded up with these shards, and when it gets completely full, it will get broken, a new one will get dispensed, and all the full ones will end up in the chest down below. And you can see it produces quite a lot of shards. Now, the shulkerbox loaders do need the system to actually be on to operate. We don't want the system running when the player is like going through a nether portal or unloading the chunks, because we don't want to accidentally break the system. So that is why there is two on and off levers. This blue one, that is the on and off for the farm, and the yellow one is the on and off for the sorter. So if you leave the sorter on after you are done running the farm for just another 2 to 5 minutes, that will give it a chance for it to catch up and finish loading all those different items into the shulker boxes. And if you ever want to see if it's still working, you can come around and look inside these droppers. You can see the cod is being put in the shulker box. You can see all the shards are being put in the shulker box. And all those are filling up the shulker box at 2 times hopper speed. And then whenever you are done or ready to leave the chunks, you can just go ahead and turn the system off. Even if there is still some items in the system, you don't need to worry about that too much. Those items will eventually get filtered out and put in the shulker boxes whenever your next AFK session is going to be. But that is really all there is to this sorter. If you guys have any other questions or comments, of course, let me know down in the comment section below. Links to the world download and material lists are in the description. Without further ado, let's get into the tutorial. Now, regardless which Guardian farm you actually end up using for this sorter, it does not matter. It only matters so long that you actually have the farm already pre-built. So right here, you can see I have the farm just finished up with the tutorial and I'm ready to go. If you have not yet built the actual Guardian farm, this is the time to do so now. Go ahead, go to the video, and then come back to this one. Once you are ready to actually build the sorter, the other thing we need to do is prep the area. So what you want is the entire system to be exactly as it is, but you want to remove any piping or anything like that. We're going to keep all this lower piping, but this vertical piping, we are going to remove this. We're going to remove the chests, and I'm going to go ahead and remove my phantom protection, and I just mainly want to leave this gold block. This gold block is our AFK spot, and we're going to build the entire farm around our AFK block as well. Now that I have the entire area cleared out, I'm good to go ahead and start working on the actual sorter. Now the sorter is going to all build straight off the AFK spot, so that's right here, and you need to figure out which cardinal direction you want to actually build the sorter out. Now whatever direction you choose, so for example, if I choose east, that is completely fine because I have a water stream already out there. I'm going to have to redirect the water streams, but to make it easier on yourself, do a direction you already have a water stream. Because I have all 4 water streams already built, it doesn't really matter which direction from the AFK spot I go. I could go out this direction, I could go out this direction, or I could go out this direction. Just for simplicity, I'm going to keep it the same way the old water stream used to be. The old water stream used to have a tube here. I'm simply going to move that over to right about here. So now, in order to actually figure out the exact placement of the new bubble elevator, I'm going to come to our actual AFK block facing that direction. Then from our AFK block 1 block forward, we're going to go up 3 temporary blocks. Then you're going to go ahead and place 7 walls. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Then we need a double chest after the wall. Then I'm going to come right next to our last wall. I'm going to come down 1 block and put a packed ice right there. You can go ahead and put a button on top of that. And then right to the right of this packed block, so towards the actual AFK spot, this is where we're going to need to have 12 hoppers facing straight down like so. So then you're going to need 6 temporary blocks like this, and have each of those hoppers coming directly straight down. This is where our chest boats are going to be in line. You can go ahead and break the temporary blocks. You can put a line of blocks on the other side. This is going to keep the water contained, and then we're going to make a little L-shaped bracket right like so, and then we're going to go ahead and surround this, just like this. Now this is going to contain our bubble elevator. So for Silent Whisper's design, just 3 blocks in a corner like this. If you come straight down from this, it will take you directly to his water stream. Depending on if you use a different actual farm, then you're going to need to move this water stream somewhere else. Just make sure that you bring it back this direction and not further this direction. The reason that matters is because whenever we actually put in the water into the system, we want to make sure that we give the water time to push all the items against the chest, and then it can go over. The reason is we want to chest align it so that all the items have a chance of either going into this right hopper or this left hopper. We want items to go into both those hoppers and not just one or the other. So now that we have this figured out, I'm going to go ahead and build the actual bubble elevator. So that's going to require coming all the way down here and making one of these little pluses, right like so. I might have to break this redstone line. I'll fix that later down the line. And then go ahead and bring the corners of this bubble elevator all the way up to the top. Once you have your cross done, go ahead and put a water bucket at the top block. That should flow towards the chest, but also flow straight down the plus that you have built. Then we're going to go ahead and make a little area. So I'm going to make a little dry area around where I'm going to work, just so it's easier and see what I'm doing. And I need to make sure I have a button underneath each of these glass blocks on each of the corners, like so. Then I'm going to temporarily break one into the system. See, I have a button here in the middle. I'm going to go ahead and break that, and then place kelp coming all the way up. This is the easiest way to put a water source all the way up the tube. Once you have placed in all your kelp, you're going to want to come down here to the bottom block, break the kelp, and replace this packed ice with some soul snow. This is going to make this entire area a bubble column, and it should make it so you and all your other items that were in that column shoot all the way up here to the top. Now, all those items you might not see because they already ended up in these item hoppers, and you should see them split between both the item hoppers. Now, I'm going to go ahead and put a roof over top of this because I want to make sure that all the items that are in this tube stay in the tube, and that no phantoms or any other items accidentally fall into this area. But just like that, that is this water stream all done, and now it's time to work on the sorter itself. Now, coming from our hoppers closest to the AFK spot, we are going to come down 2 blocks and then over 1, then break those first 2 temporary blocks, and then we're going to make a line of temporary blocks that is 6 blocks long, just like so, and then come to the other side 2 blocks over, and then go ahead and make a line of 6 temporary blocks right there as well. Should be just in line with your hoppers above. Then you're going to want to go ahead and place in a hopper, going directly into each of those temporary blocks. We're going to start just by playing 6 hoppers like so. You're going to want to have a fence, 2 fences right there in the closest ones to the AFK spot. Then go ahead and put a chest boat directly over top all 6 of these. So it should be very easy to do like so. You need 2 more fences here. If you can't place them, then that just means you need to hop in the chest boat, scoot it all the way up against those fences. Then you need to get out of the actual system, and then put in 2 more fences just like so. It's a little complicated, so I'll show you how to do that one more time. We're going to have 6 hoppers in just like so, like this. You're going to go ahead and put 2 fences right there in the top. Put it in your chest boat. Try to put it in the upper part of the actual block, and then you should be able to put in your 2 fences in the back. And if not, then you can either break the chest boat, try again, or hop in it and move it forward. Once you've done that, we got our chest boat system set up, but it's time to put in the actual sorters. So how we're going to do that is come down, make a line of blocks like so. You can break those temporary blocks right up there. Then we're going to have a comparator coming out of each of those hoppers, like so. Then we're going to come down 1 block right there. Go ahead and make a line of blocks right there. Then we're going to come down 1 more block, break the temporary block, and make a line of blocks right there. We're going to have a line of repeaters right here on 1 tick. Coming on the other side, we're going to have a line of redstone torches, just like so. And then coming back, we're going to come up 1 block, right like so. Bring that all the way across, all 6 of them, and then fill in these blocks right here. So that's all 12. Then you need to put in all these redstone dust, all 18, to fill in the area like so. And that is the structure for the item filters all done. Now we're going to do the exact same thing over here on the right side. We're going to come down 1 block just like so. Go ahead and break the temporary blocks right there on top. Go ahead and put in 6 comparators facing directly out. Then we're going to need to have a line of blocks coming directly down, diagonally, like so. Go ahead and put all 6 of those blocks in place. Have repeaters on the bottom blocks, like so. Bring up 1 block along the backside of each of the repeaters. Fill in the 12 blocks right there in the middle, and put in the 18 bits of redstone dust. And then go ahead and put in your line of redstone torches, and that is your 2 item filters. Now we're going to come directly underneath our item filters, and under each one of these have a hopper facing directly straight down. Now, from these hoppers, we do need to put in some double chests, but these double chests need to be put in a very particular way because they do need to correlate with the actual item filters above them. So we haven't put in the item filters above them yet, but basically what we want to do is have these double chests go side to side long ways like this. So we have 2 item filters go into each of these double chests, and then we're going to do it the exact same way sideways like this. Then coming directly above it, what we're going to do is in this hopper, I'm going to go ahead and put at least 1 prismarine shard. Ideally, you would have 41 or something like that. and put in 4 random junk blocks, like so. Directly next to it, put another set of the prismarine shard item filters. Then we're going to come over and put in our prismarine crystals, right like so. Prismarine crystals over in this next one. And then these last two over here are going to be cod. Then coming around to the other side, it is also very important to get the order correct. So on the far right hand side, we are going to put 2 of these prismarine shard item filters, just like so, directly into place. Then you're going to need to put 2 of these prismarine crystals right here into the middle. And then you're going to need to put 2 of the cods right there at the very end. Now, whether you realized it or not, what we just did was very strategically put all the items in so that each of them have adjacent ones that is the exact same type. So that makes sure that in this chest right here, we will only ever get cod because both the item filters above it is cod. In the next 2 item filters, in this chest, we should only get crystals. So in both of these item filters, there should be crystals. The other thing it's making sure that each of these chest boats are above 2 hoppers of each of the 3 different item types. Even though it might seem like we skimped out on the crystals, there's crystals here and crystals right underneath that fence post in the back corner. So there is 6 hoppers and 2 hoppers for each of the different item types. Now that we've gotten all the item filters all done, it is time to put in the shulkerbox loaders. So how we're going to do this is coming from all our chests. We need to make sure to come down 2 hoppers. Go ahead and put in another double chest right there, and 2 more hoppers straight down. It might feel like a waste of resources, but this gives us space to actually do the redstone onto the sides underneath of our item filters. Now I'm going to start right here, closest to the AFK spot on the left-hand side. I'm going to have a dropper facing directly in, and then have a hopper going into that dropper. So then I'll have another dropper facing directly in, and a hopper facing into that dropper. Now I'm making sure to keep these 2 hoppers from the same double chest going into the same dropper. So that is one key detail to make sure to keep in mind. Make sure that the double chests are staying in line all the way down and are feeding into the same dropper. So on the other side, I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to have a dropper, put it on the left side, just to make sure that they are both identical. Then I'm going to grab my dispensers, and I'm going to have a dispenser facing into my dropper area, just like so. I'm going to come over 2 blocks, have another dispenser facing directly in, over 2 blocks, and dispenser facing directly in. Do the same thing on the other side. You're going to need a piston facing directly down into this little enclosed area we created, just like so. Do the same thing on the other side. Now right here, we are set up to build our shulkerbox loaders. Now how we're building these is if I come off 2 blocks, break that first block, we're then going to use this block and through the block take a comparator signal. Now our comparator is detecting whenever the shulkerbox that is placed right there is completely full. So what we're going to do is have 3 blocks like so, have a redstone torch with redstone dust. So only when the comparator detects a signal strength equal to 15 will the comparator ever output anything on this redstone dust. And that will only happen whenever the shulkerbox is completely full. That's going to power a redstone torch right here. We're going to come down 2 blocks, break the first temporary block. It's going to give a piece of redstone dust. Then come down and over 1. Right here, we're going to have a repeater on 3 ticks. That's going to go into a redstone torch. And then on top of this redstone torch, we'll have another block, and then a redstone torch right there to the side. Now this exact same system, we're going to repeat 3 times right on over. Once you have gotten all 3 of those put in place, it should look something like this. We're then going to come around to the other side, and we're going to build the exact same thing, but reversed. So go ahead and do the same thing. We'll come back 2 blocks, break the first one. Through this block is what we're detecting with our comparator. So comparator outright like there. Go ahead and put it in 3 blocks like so. Redstone torch, 2 bits of redstone dust, redstone torch off the side of that. Down 2 blocks, break the first temporary block, redstone dust. Then we're going to come down and over 1. And right here, we're going to have a repeater on 3 ticks, redstone torch right there. Come above this redstone torch and put a redstone torch on the side of that. This system, we are once again repeating 3 more times. Now next, we want to build a collection system to collect all the shulker boxes that are completely full. So we're going to have a double chest right here with a hopper going directly straight up to where the piston is breaking the shulker box. we'll put a couple blocks around the actual system to make sure the shulker box has no option but to go directly into this hopper. And then I'm going to have an upper slab right here, so I have easy access to the shulker box for any bug testing. Now you're going to want to have a solid block underneath the dropper, but then these two blocks can either be glass or they can be solid blocks. It doesn't matter. For the other ones, it's going to be the same sort of deal. Put another double chest down, hopper going down, upper slab. You can have either glass or solid block, and then solid block underneath the dropper. And you're going to need to do this for all the other 4 systems. Now, our next system we are going to put in place is what's automatically going to turn on these droppers. Now, because we have 2 hoppers going directly into each of these droppers, we need the droppers to pulse at double hopper speed so that I can actually put 5 items per second into the shulker boxes. But it also needs to have the additional system that whenever the shulker box is being broken, the dropper is not just dropping any of the items, because that would just go directly into the hopper below it. It's a little bit of a complex system, but don't worry, it is relatively easy to follow. So what we're going to do is from each of our comparators and bits of redstone dust, I'm going to come out a temporary block, another temporary block, and then have an upward slab right there. And then on the slab, have a bit of redstone dust. The reason we are doing this is redstone dust can travel up a slab, just like so, but it can't travel down a slab. So we are using that one-way capability, and then we're going to have a row of slabs all the way across like so, and redstone dust on all of those. So it should connect with all 3 of our systems. Then you can go ahead and switch back to solid blocks. We'll come over one more. We'll come right across. We'll have to go through our bubble elevator, so go ahead and put a solid block and a repeater, and then you have bits of redstone dust to connect it just like so. We'll come around to the other side of the system, and we'll do a similar ordeal. We're going to come up temporary block, over a temporary block, and then replace this with an upper slab. Go ahead and connect the slabs all the way across. Put some redstone dust right along each of those so it connects to each of the comparators. And then we're going to come out 2 blocks and then over 4 blocks like so. So we're 1 block away from this torch. Then we're going to come out 1 more, over 2, and then we're going to connect with our other redstone line right there. We'll connect that all with a piece of redstone dust all the way across, and then have a redstone dust on this corner. Now, right here in this corner, we are going to add 1 more complicated redstone system, and this is just a simple decay clock. So, I guess not really that complicated. Redstone dust in those 3 spots, and then a solid block right there. So basically, by adding this decay clock, what we're doing is we're making it so every time a shulker box is completely full, the system is going to wait a little bit extra longer before firing up the droppers again. And it gives the system a little bit more time to place the shulker box before turning the system back on again. Now from a redstone torch, we're going to come down 2 blocks, break the first temporary block, go have a piece of redstone dust. That's going to go to a comparator on subtract mode, and then we're going to make a little loop around like so, and loop that with redstone dust, and you should see the redstone dust flash. If not, then that's because it's on standard mode. You want to make sure it's on subtract mode. We're going to keep this coming forward, right up to here, and I'm going to use slabs here, just so I have more headroom in the actual area. And then I'm going to go ahead and have 3 bits of redstone dust right there, and then a repeater here on 1 tick. Now I'm going to come back up to this next area. I'll temporarily break these 2 solid blocks. We want these 2 lines to continue onward, so I'm going to go ahead and place in either some slabs or solid blocks here, and then I'm going to need a repeater on the left side and redstone dust on the right. The reason we're doing this is the redstone dust can be read by the repeater, and the repeater can power the redstone dust, but if I did it like this redstone dust would never get powered. The redstone dust is soft powering the block, where the repeater is hard powering it. So we need to alternate it, so just like that, and then we'll break these blocks temporarily too, and we'll do the same ordeal here. So because the repeater is here, we can soft power, so redstone dust, and since it's redstone dust, you need to hard power it. Then we should be able to go back and place in all our solid blocks, and that should power all the droppers. And if we come in from the side, you should be able to see each of those repeaters and each of those redstone dusts actually activating. Now that clicking sound is going to get old very quickly, so I'm going to go ahead and add an on-off switch. So I'm going to come from here, come up 1 block, and then over. We're going to extend this line all the way up till we're right below where the redstone dust is. Go ahead and put a redstone torch there, turn it on, and then connect the redstone line. And that should go all the way around and just barely power our redstone torch, turning off our decay clock. Now we're going to piggyback off this lever since it's already the on-off switch. On the inside, we're going to have a redstone torch. Now this redstone torch is going to turn on and off whenever we have our chest minecart going around in a loop. Now this chest minecart here is what goes around, and I make sure that in all of our dispensers, we actually have shulker boxes for the shulker loaders. So you're going to need a hopper going directly into that. This hopper is going to be locked, so you're going to need to go one more hopper directly up. So it's going to be 2 hoppers going into each of those dispensers, just like so. Then you can go ahead and fill in all these middle blocks with some glass blocks or solid blocks. It doesn't matter. Connect it up on the back side, and then continue along the inside, just like so. And then we need to connect the top part, just like that. Now we're going to start with the powered rail right here. This is going to turn on and off by that lever itself. We'll have some normal rails coming around the corner. Then we'll have some powered rails right here. They're being powered by the redstone torches, but go ahead and put a lever here. Just make sure that these rails always stay powered. Then you need some normal rails here on the back side, and then some powered rails here as well. Now I would go ahead and do the exact same thing. Get a redstone lever, and that way the rails are always powered. Now depending on the orientation of your actual build, these rails might connect like this. We do not want this to happen, so go ahead and put a temporary block here. Temporarily break these 2 rails, and then place the 2 rails like this, and then place that final rail. Then when you break this rail and put a back block like so, it should keep the chest minecart there at all times. Then if we go ahead and have a hopper go into the chest minecart like so, and then grab a chest and put a double chest right here, this is your storage for your shulker boxes. So throw all your shulker boxes in, and then when the system's ready to go, you turn the system on, and the minecart will make loops all the way around, evenly distributing all your shulker boxes. Now our next step in the farm is to, of course, add the on-off switch. Now the on-off switch is not for the sorter itself, but for our farm below. We just want to be able to turn the sorter and the farm off from the same spot up here. So to make it easier, I'm just going to lower my outside rim just down by 1 block, just so I have easier access to my shulker box chest, my on-off switch for the sorter, and then I'm going to add my on-off switch to the farm right next to it on the right-hand side. I'm going to go ahead and turn it on just so I can see the system and see the redstone dust underneath being powered. Now, depending on the height of your actual system, will depend whether you need a repeater to extend the redstone signal strength. I'm just going to have a redstone line come all the way down like so, and then I can break these in-between blocks and put a redstone line all the way down this. So if you have the full-scaled system like me, your height should be just perfect that you don't need a repeater on this redstone line at all. But depending whether you have the system slightly higher, you might need to extend this with a repeater just coming off here to the side to make sure that you have enough signal strength to make it all the way down here to the ground. Once you get low enough, I'm going to pause, come over here, put 2 blocks right there, 2 bits of redstone dust, then I'm going to come up 2 blocks, put a redstone torch just like so. And then I'll have a bits of redstone dust come all the way up here in the line, and then my redstone elevator should go all the way down and just barely reach my redstone torch there. I can then remove my lever, and if your system's on, then that just means you have to come up and turn off the redstone lever. And that should make sure that all your systems down here are all turned off. Now, regardless of which farm you built beforehand, most likely when we put in this bubble elevator, it is not exactly where the original one was for the actual build. So it does mean that we need to do a little bit of modification. Now, the modification is just going to be first actually removing the old bubble elevator right here. And now we need to make sure that all the water streams, instead of going here, continue on towards this bubble elevator. So I'm going to remove the center gap to make sure the water goes that way. Then I'll remove these old buttons on either side. I want them to come this way, so I'm going to leave the button coming this direction. I'll replace that with some packed ice, and then right here I can see that the water power coming in is stronger than the water power coming in this direction. So I'm going to go ahead and remove this water source, and I'm going to move that back a little bit. I'll move the water source to right here and see how it does. So I'll come back and I'll see, okay, it's going straight now. How this basically works is the water level coming in from the left and coming from the right need to cancel each other out. And once it does, you should be good to go. So once I have that, I can put a button there. And I can see, okay, I think I can remove this. That should just barely, not quite. So I'll put another button, another water source. So that will extend it. It will push the items. If the items go past, it should continue it should come back and then be redirected straight up the water stream. Alright, so over on this side I'm good. Time to get this side up and going. If I remove this glass block, I can see, oh, that one actually worked perfectly, so no adjustments here. And the one last thing to do is to make sure the redstone line gets reconnected. So I'm just going to do that with an extra repeater, solid block, and another bit of redstone dust, just to make sure that connects perfectly. Now that we've gotten our bottom water streams all hooked up to our bubble elevator, we've gotten our on and off switch figured out, it is time to prep and prime the system so it's ready to go. Now, prime the system you only have to do once unless you completely run out of shulker boxes, and then you'll have to re-prime the system. But it is a really simple thing to do. You're going to want to grab a whole bunch of shulker boxes, and all those shulker boxes you're going to want to load up into the chest right here. Now, it's going to go straight from the chest into the chest minecart because I don't have anything preloaded, so I'm just going to load a bunch of these all in at once. Once you have a bunch of these loaded in, you can go ahead and turn on the sorter portion. That's going to allow the minecart to go around, and that's going to push a bunch of shulker boxes into each of these hoppers. Then what you're going to want to do is go to each of these comparators with a piece of redstone dust and put a button on each of those ends. Now the reason we're putting a button here is anytime your system runs dry, so you're completely out of shulker boxes, if you press a button, it will let one shulker box come into the system. Then you can do that for every single one, and that should prime each of those individual systems, and you should be able to check and see a shulker box into each of those slices, and you're going to need to do that on either side of each of the systems. Once you have that primed and ready, you can go ahead and turn the system off, and then we just need to make sure that everything else in the system is ready to go. So for example, go to each of your chest boats and make sure there's no junk items in it. For example, I threw a water bucket. That's going to happen a couple redstone components while you're actually building the system, so make sure to empty those out, and then we also need to make sure that this top water stream is in place. So you're going to need a button right here on the end to make sure no water comes out, and then go ahead and put in your water bucket right there. Put the cap on it, and you can break these final two if you want, and then I would also recommend adding a little backstop right here. That will make sure that all the XP gets caught and then gets absorbed by the player. There's a couple other things like that you can add. If you want, you could go ahead and grab some solid blocks, come up 4 blocks from the actual AFK spot, and add a little roof. This is great to avoid any phantoms from coming at the player while you're in the middle of AFKing. The other things you can add is, for example, a redstone lamp right here to let you know anytime the actual farm is running on or off. You can't do this for the sorter because the sorter is starting on, but this will tell you for the general farm. The last thing that I would recommend doing is coming down here to each of your shulker boxes and make sure each of them are starting empty. The reason I say that is if any redstone components or any random items happen to fall in your system while you are building it, if one of those falls into the shulker box, this shulker box will never get completely full. If, for example, a comparator fell in here, there is not going to be any more comparators coming into this slice, and so the shulker box will never give a full reading, and that shulker box will never be broken. So if you have any issues with your shulker box loaders, there's probably just a random junk item in one of those slices. Once you've gotten every single one of these checked, you're good to come all the way up here to the top, grab your looting 3 sword, and start the farm. But that is all there is to this item sorter. If you have any other questions or comments, of course, let me know down in the comment section below. Links for Discord, world download is all in the description. And if you haven't already, hit the like and subscribe button. It helps the channel out a ton. But this has been Rocket Builder, and I'll see you all in the next video.